For sprint number 6, first off I wanted to show from the last sprint that I have the centipede fixed off when it's going through its splitting now, so when I shoot one or two it'll end up splitting correctly. And that's just because depending on what offset it's doing for its position to move it to the next frame, I set it for its direction, so then when I spawn the mushroom it's always one ahead of where the centipede's going. And then for the command score, this is the execute, and then okay, or not. And then for the command score, I have this set up so then it goes through the execute. And then this is all it is for the CPP file, with the execute being able to be override. So we're going to start this up again. So then for score manager by the command score and command by distance, which is another .h and .cpp I have. And then I have the score set up here with the poison mushrooms not implemented yet, with the command stack and the process. And then here's this, and then these are all the events that are getting called in with the return for the P command. And to go and set it specifically for the command score by distance. And then for add score I also show what the current one is. And then there's your note. And then when I'm pushing from the stack, I'm also doing process scores right here, because it's supposed to be doing it every frame, but right now I'm doing it every time there's a push, just so that I can make sure that it's working. And then for the process score, it does this. So every time there's actually a command inside, it'll just empty it anyways, instead of doing it every single frame. Alright, let's see. And then for the player, we have the, let me do that really quick. For player, inside the player itself, this is your player profile. It has the ID, the wave, score, and lives. Then also has the field and the ship. So then once we go into the player.cpp, I have a default if there is no ID, and then if there's a specific ID, you go and put it in. And then I have the gets and sets for all of them. For the player controller, there's also an enum class for keyboard and AI, but right now I force keyboard on it to make sure it works. Initial players, you can type how many players it is. I should make it a stack, but right now I have it as an array, so 8 players can play technically right now. And then this will go and control the scores, the lives, and all that in here. So then like at start, it'll create the inputs for the input keyboard, and I'll go and create a player array, instantly forces the keyboard. There's your create input. Then I'll initialize players, and if there's more than one I'll do that. And then switching players, I have this set up too. I'm also destroying the ship, because I'm doing it by myself and not having the ship get destroyed when it loses a life. So then if we're playing and I go and click one, then it changes, and it'll tell me how many mushrooms are in the field and how many are in the play area. And then also, like, current score is now 10. If I go and switch back, it'll also tell me what player 1 and player 2 is. Now I have it set up for player 1 and player 2, but I can easily set it to 7. And then for the spawning settings, I have everything in a wave data struct right now. I don't have it reading into a file, but I have it going into this structure. So then when everything starts up, I'm forcing everything into here, So right now the presents are false, and then I have this function called set data. So go and set everything on first go, and I have traces for the centipede head for how many segments, and for the scorpion spawner. So if we go and start this up in the output, you'll see that segments is 4, like I have set up. Oh, I have set it for spider, I'm sorry. Then is spider present, false, 0, no. Spider time is 10, spider speed is 1. So right now it's not present if I hit 0. So if I go and change the, if it's present to true, and we'll make this 5, and go and actually change these segments to 7. This. Now there's 7 segments, and the spider will spawn in 5 seconds, and there it is. And now it's going to spawn every 5 seconds at the moment. And basically all I'm doing is this, in these is going to their specific spawner, and they have a variable for themselves and then equals that, and they do this before they spawn anything. And then specifically for the spider also, if we go back into there, if we go in here, this, it sets all that stuff up. I need to go and get set up get and set functions for them, and that's the same thing for the wave controller too, so it doesn't look as messy. But go and do that, and then at start, when the spawner first starts, which I'll also have a reset function, so then it's not just when it starts, but whenever player switches and there's a reset, it'll ask if it's true or not. So if it's true, then it'll start the alarm, but if it's false, then the alarm will never be set, so then it'll never have to be counting down the alarm. And then Sound Manager, I honestly have not touched it. However, I was having huge lag spikes, and you were right. This one thing, I don't know how, but this one thing with add sound caused huge lag spikes exactly 30 seconds in. Like literally counting it 30 seconds in. I don't know why, but it did. And that's also, you shouldn't have to do that for the Sound Manager anyways. So I don't know why I was doing it. I think I set this up a while ago and it finally caught up and bit me in the butt. But yep, and there's that.